Hello my friends, welcome back to the reading of the Spirit's book, and today we are at part 3 of the book. It's really cool, huh? In part 3 we learn about the moral laws. Well, the moral laws, they are divided in 12 chapters, and those 12 chapters divided in chapter 1, divine or natural law, that's according to the spirits, everything. Chapter 2, the law of worship. Chapter 3, the law of labor. Chapter 4, the law of reproduction. Chapter 5, the law of preservation. Chapter 6, the law of destruction. Chapter 7, the law of society. Chapter 8, the law of progress. Chapter 9, the law of equality. Chapter 10, the law of freedom. Chapter 11, the law of justice, love and charity. And chapter 12, moral perfection. Today we are going to talk about the divine, chapter 1, divine or natural law. And this chapter is divided in topics which are the characteristics of natural law, the knowledge of natural law, good and evil, and the divisions of natural law. We start at the characteristics of natural law, and the question to the Spirit was the following. Question 614. What is meant by natural law? And the Spirit's answer. Natural law is the law of God. It is the only law that is truly necessary for human beings to be happy. It shows them what they should or should not do, and they only suffer misfortune when they depart from it. So when the Spirit says what they should or should not do, it doesn't mean what they must do, which is always up to each person's, each spirit's free will. Either they can be incarnate, or they can be free spirits without the body. Okay, so there is a question 615. Is God's law eternal? Answer. It is as eternal and immutable as God is. Question 616. Can God prescribe to humankind in one age what would be prohibited in another? Answer. God does not err. Humans are the ones who must modify their laws because they are imperfect. But God's laws are perfect. The harmony regulating both the material and moral universe is founded upon laws that God has established forever. Question 617. What do the divine laws encompass? Do they apply to anything or other than moral conduct? Answer. All the laws of nature are divine because God is the author of all things. Scientists study the laws of matter, whereas moral individuals study and practice the laws of the soul. Question that comes after this one. Do humans have the ability to master both the laws of nature and the laws of matter? Answer. Yes, but a single existence is not enough to do so. I know. Well, there is a note from Kardec under this answer and says the following. If we consider only the distance separating the primitive from the civilized individual, what indeed are a few years for acquiring everything that comprises a perfect being? The longest life possible is insufficient, and all the more so when it is cut short, as happens with a large number of people. Among the divine laws, some regulate the movement and workings of inert matter. These are the physical laws, and studying them belongs to the domain of science. Others specifically concern humans and their relations with God and their fellow beings, encompassing the rules of the life of the body and soul. These are the moral laws. Question 618. Are the divine laws the same for all worlds? Answer. Reason tells us they must be appropriate for the nature of each world and proportioned to the degree of advancement of the beings that inhabit them. So now there is the topic, the origin and knowledge of natural law. Question 619. Has God provided all humans the means of knowing God's law? Answer. All know about it, but not all understand it. Moral persons and those who desire to examine it are the ones who understand it best. Nevertheless, all will understand it someday, because such understanding is necessary for progress. And then there's a note under this answer saying the following. The justice of multiple human incarnations springs from this principle, because in each new existence, humans' intelligence becomes more developed, and they better comprehend what is good and what is evil. If everything had to be accomplished in a single existence, what would be the fate of the many millions who die every day in the brutishness of the primitive state, or in the darkness of ignorance, simply because they were born into a situation that did not enable them to become enlightened? Question 620. Before its union with the body, does the soul comprehend God's law more clearly than after incarnating? Answer. It comprehends God's law according to the degree of its perfection, and it preserves an intuitive memory of it after uniting it with the body. However, evil human instincts often cause it to forget. Question 621. Where is God's law written? Answer. In the conscience. And then there is a question under this answer. Since humans carry God's law in their conscience, why does it have to be revealed to them? Answer. They have forgotten and disregarded it, but God has willed for them to remember it. Question 622. Has God endowed certain individuals with the mission of revealing the divine law? Answer. Yes, certainly. In every age, individuals have received this mission. They are high-order spirits who have incarnated with the purpose of enabling humankind to progress. Question 623. Haven't those who were meant to instruct humankind in God's law sometimes erred, and haven't they often led others astray through erroneous principles? Answer. People may have been led astray by those who were not actually inspired by God, and who, out of ambition, regarded themselves as having a mission that they did not, in fact, have. Nevertheless, they were geniuses, and great truths could often be found, even in the midst of their errors. Question 624. What are the characteristics of true prophets? Answer. True prophets are moral individuals inspired by God, and whom we may recognize by their words and deeds. God does not employ a liar to teach the truth. And question 625. What is the perfect standard that God has offered to humankind as a guide and model? Answer. Look at Jesus. And then Kardec makes a note under this answer saying the following. Jesus is the highest standard of moral perfection to which humankind may aspire on earth. God offers him as the most perfect model, and the doctrine he taught is the purest expression of God's law, because he was animated by the divine spirit and was the purest being that has ever walked the earth. If some of those who claim to teach God's law to humans have sometimes led them astray with erroneous principles, it is because they allowed themselves to be dominated by strong earthly sentiments, and because they confused the laws regulating the conditions of the life of the soul with those regulating the life of the body. Many of them presented as divine laws what were really only human laws, created to serve their own passions and to dominate others. Question 626. Have the divine or natural laws being revealed to humankind only by Jesus? Before him, were they only known by intuition? Answer. Haven't we stated that they are written everywhere? From the remotest times, all who have meditated on wisdom have been able to understand and teach these laws. Though their teachings were incomplete, they prepared the ground to receive the seed. Since the divine laws are written in the book of nature, men and women are able to understand them as soon as they want to look into them. That is why the precepts of the divine laws have been proclaimed by moral persons in all ages, and also why we have encountered their elements, though incomplete or altered by ignorance and superstition, in the moral doctrines of all cultures that have left barbarism. Question 627. Since Jesus has already taught the true laws of God, of what value are the teachings given by the spirits? Do they really have anything more to teach us? Answer. Jesus' teachings were frequently allegorical and in the form of parables because he spoke according to his time and place. But today, the truth must be made intelligible for all us. Thus, it is necessary to explain God's law more fully and elaborate on them, because there are so few who understand them and still fewer who actually practice them. Our mission is to awaken eyes and ears in order to confound the proud and unmask the hypocrites who display virtue and religion outwardly in order to hide their inner turpitudes. The teaching of the spirits must be clear and without error, so that no one can feign ignorance, and so that all may judge it and evaluate it with their own reason. We are in charge of preparing the kingdom of God announced by Jesus. And that is why no one should be able to interpret the law of God according to his or her own passions, or to distort the meaning of a law that is entirely love and charity. Question 628. Why hasn't the truth always been within everyone's reach? Answer. Each thing must come in its own time. Truth is like light. We must accustom ourselves to it little by little. Otherwise, it dazzles us. And then there is another saying, which is, there has never been a time in which God allowed humankind to receive communications as complete and instructive as the ones being given today. As you know, in ancient times, there were only a few individuals who were in possession of what they regarded as a sacred science, and which they kept as a mystery from other individuals, whom they considered as being profane. You must understand, from what you know of the laws governing spirit phenomena, that those ancients received only fragmentary truths amongst an ambiguous, often highly symbolic collection. Nevertheless, enlightened individuals nowadays should not discount any ancient philosophical system, tradition, or religion, because they all contain the seeds of great truths. Although they seem to contradict one another and are scattered among unfounded embellishments, today they are much easier to comprehend, thanks to the key that Spiritism has provided. It is a key to an infinite number of things that until now seemed unreasonable, but whose reality has recently been irrefutably demonstrated. Therefore, do not fail to make those material subjects of your study. They are very rich in teachings and may contribute a great deal to your education. Well, guys, this is it for today, and I hope you guys have liked this reading as much as I do, remembering that all religions are perfect and we are the imperfect ones. All religions teach us love and charity above everything. So let's be resilient in our quest to be more lovable and more charitable. God bless you all. Big kiss.